Disclaimer, I am blind and cannot see or adjust the picture, so if the picture is not ideal, that's why. Sorry, but it just is the way my channel is.
Screen locked. Turn right. Turn right.
Good morning, everyone. This is not Techno Show. July 20,
Turn right.
whatever day it is, 24th. It just sounds like it because my
Turn left.
my
Turn right.
things are yelling at me that their screens are locked and the GPS thing's going. And it's Sunday morning. I'm on my way to church. I'm gonna get there like mega early. This is TriMet Lift. This is the way it works, but
Route. Turn left.
The service starts at 10 and it's not even 9 o'clock. And I live like really near the church and I shouldn't have to. It's
8:52 a.m. and 46
It's
seconds.
8:52. I'm going to be there at like 9 o'clock. And that's called the life of a person who uses TriMet Lift. You just get places early. You either get there early or you get there late. So you are just... It's just what happens. But, see, I'm thinking about getting, well, I'll tell the whole story about that later. I'm wondering if maybe I have a purpose back in this church. I haven't been this, I just now started coming back to this church, and I'm thinking that if I think they might be more open to suggestions on how to help people with disabilities than they were when I was there. Or if they were open to it, they seem more open to it than they seemed when I was there. And I'm going to go back to this again. I talked to him about this when I was there, and I'll talk about it now. I think we need either a van or a shared ride service. If you live like right nearby the church, you shouldn't have to be there at 9 o'clock if you're just anxious about something. It's just... It's called Life as a TriMet Lift User, but you shouldn't have to do that. I hope you just heard a word I said. I don't really like to talk very loud when I'm in the car with someone, and especially when I'm in one of those little vans that everyone hears what everyone says. But yeah, it's 9:06 and the service starts at 10 and I'm here already. Really, I think I got here at 9 o'clock. That shouldn't have to happen when I live this close. It's called the life of a TriMet Lift user, but we need some kind of shared ride service or van or something so that people like me can talk on the phone with someone else that's in the area or that goes to this church, and they say, okay, I'll pick you up at 9:30 instead of we'll pick you up between 8:42 and 9:02, and then they get there at 8:45 and you gotta leave. And I mean, it's just the nature of the beast, but over 5 blocks, it's just stupid. And I probably should have just waited till I got here to say that, but oh well. I thought about not coming when it was like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was trying to convince my body, my mind, whatever, that it was time to, it was like 4 hours past time to shut down and go to sleep. I thought about not coming, but I'm glad I did. Just because I can't get connected or stay connected with a church if I don't go. And I'm back at the one that I'm thinking about possibly rejoining. And that's all I'll say about it right now, but see, this is how, if I'm going to be vlogging out and about, this is kind of the way I prefer to vlog. Just kind of, I know I'm vlogging, but I'm kind of blending into the crowd because no one's necessarily paying a lot of attention to me. Which is something you can't do in a small van. You can barely do it in a big bus. But especially when you have a small van, you kind of have to whisper like I did in the previous clip. So again, I hope you could actually hear what I was saying. You know, as it turns out, I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise that I ended up here so early. And when I get home, I'll explain why. The fact that I got here so early and I'm going to be leaving so late, I've got like 45 minutes to wait. No, I don't. Yeah, I do. It's about 11:30 now, and it's going to be, the estimated time of arrival for my vehicle is 12:10. So hopefully it'll all be taken care of by then. And when I get home, I'll explain what I'm talking about and my opinion about it, because look, I never thought of myself as a great speaker, but I do have some thoughts on what happened here today. I'm glad I went, and I'll talk about it more later. But I am glad I came, and now that all of this has happened, I'm kind of glad I got here when I did. Because if I had gotten here at like 9:45, 9:50, I would have gotten out of the car and right in that. Okay, I'm home, and I gotta admit it's nice to be home. You know, even as unhappy as I was about the fact that it was 9:15, not 10:15, and I was being picked up for church, which is called TriMet Lift. That's just the way it works. And the service starts at 10 o'clock, and, you know, I was there for an hour. But as much of an inconvenience as that seemed at the time, it was a blessing in disguise, because by the time it was 9:45, 10 o'clock, there was some unrest happening outside. And if I had had someone that I could have met at my apartment at like 9:45 or even 9:30, and we went to church at the same time that everybody else would be going to church, we would have gotten out of our car and we would have made our way into the church right through that. That was a protest. And, you know, of course, I'm blind. I only have what I hear people saying to go on. And, you know, I was hearing, you know, there's protesters outside, but we are going to continue with our service as planned, and, hold each other and even the people outside in our prayers as we continue with our service. You know, when I hear protest outside, I kind of conjure up this picture in my mind's eye, if you will, of this crowd standing there with their damn you to hell signs or whatever the signs might have said. And it sounds like when I was able to get more information about it later, it sounds like that wasn't quite accurate. There were only 2 people holding out their damn you to hell signs or whatever. I don't know if those exact words were what the signs said, but I think it had those sentiments and or different sentiments along similar levels or along similar lines. And apparently they were loud and aggressive and yelling and screaming, and fortunately I was far enough into the church and not paying enough attention to what was going on outside to hear them. But what I was most concerned about was, is this going to stay a peaceful protest, such as a peaceful protest ever is peaceful? Or is this going to be one of these cases where someone's calling 911 and I'm praying to God that, you know, I'm saying, I know you're going to take me one day, but does it have to be today? Is this how you want it to end? Thank God it did not happen that way. It did not spiral into trauma and violence. Apparently they did what they did for some indefinite amount of time, and by the time certainly before I left, the service ended, and somewhere along the line between the time the service ended and the time I went out to meet my ride, which the service got out at about 11:25, and my ride wasn't even scheduled till 11:55, so I lingered in the church for a little while. And in that interim time, I heard somebody say, "Are they still out there?" And somebody else said, "No, they left for a while ago." So I'm not sure how long they were out there, but it was safe by the time I was headed out. You know, I am thankful, first of all, and grateful that it did not erupt into assaults and gunfire and you call 911 while I hide under the pew and pray with all my heart that I'll make it home from this. But, you know, I wonder I'm not going to say what is the point of protests. I know the protests stem from passionate belief that something is wrong and you take a stand for what you believe in. But if these were in fact mega Christians or ultra Christians or whatever you might call them, and the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to go into my entire life story, but I was born to a single mother, and unfortunately, when I was 11, I lost her to diabetes. And the family to which she specified she wanted custody granted of me, the relatives with whom my life and well-being were entrusted, were extremely conservative and I would think are still. That's why we're not as close as we could be. A lot of it was me. I moved to another state and don't talk to him all that much because I don't know how okay it is to be who I am, really, around them. And I say that to say this. I have experience with people, with Christians such as those. But I don't think even they would go to the lengths that these protesters apparently did this morning. Would they hold signs in front of a place? Yeah. Would they even read Bible passages in front of a place? Yeah. But they wouldn't say hateful things to people as they were going into that location. And I don't know what exactly the signs said, but the signs that my significantly conservative family would hold up would probably, at least slightly differently. They would be worded at least slightly differently. My question to conservatives, to mega Christians, to ultra conservatives, to Pentecostal evangelists, to whatever the correct way might be to describe anyone who may be watching who falls into that category is, are you sure that's what God wants you to do? I'm not saying he doesn't want you to protest, but I'm not saying that he doesn't want you to protest a movement that you feel is against him necessarily. Let me just say what I'm trying to say. Does God want you to say protest outside an abortion clinic? Okay, yes, he may well want that. But does he want you to stand outside of a church whose beliefs might not line up with your own and hold up damn you to hell signs and say, I don't call you bad thing, call those congregation members that are going into the church not so nice names and, say things say hateful things to them. Are you sure that's what the God that you believe in and that you're protesting in the name of wants you to do? Look, I'm no preacher, I'm no pastor, I'm no I'm no great and elegant speaker. And I'm certainly not Jesus' daughter, Jesus' sister, I'm not a divinely I will pause this while I try to think of what I'm trying to say. See, I'm not a great and grand speaker. I am not some kind of great and extremely wise prophetess anointed by the Holy Spirit and the voice of God herself. You know, I'm not a goddess. I'm not a holy woman whose words mean 3 million times more than anyone else. That's not what it's about. I do not claim to know what God's will is for anyone, even myself. If I knew what God wanted for me, let alone for you. But I just ask you to consider, are you sure that the God of love and forgiveness and who sent his son to die for you and etc., wants you to go about changing the world by staging hate-laced protests? Dare I go so far as to say this? If God was in the flesh again, and I wish that would happen, if there was a soul, if there was not just a soul, that's the point. If there was a person that basically, if there was a modern day form of Jesus who was in the flesh, whose voice I could actually hear because he was standing right next to me, are you sure he would look into your eyes and say, yes, these people are wrong, and I'm going to have to die for them, and because they are so wrong, I want you to damn them to hell and be hateful toward them? Are you sure that's, if Jesus were alive today, are you sure that's what he'd say to you? In my mere mortal opinion, I think that there's a difference between thinking that someone's doing something wrong and offering them the opportunity to maybe hear the suggestion that they should consider doing things differently and trying to change them through hate. First of all, I don't think it's up to us to change people. I mean, we can offer our opinion, but other people don't necessarily have to subscribe to it. If they want to, that's fine, but we can't make them. And I think if we are intended to say, you know, that really doesn't seem like a good thing for you to be doing, I think you should consider this, that, or another thing. There's a big difference between saying that and saying, you're going straight to hell, you're a this, that, and the other thing, God's going to strike you down, blah, 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 whatever else might have been said outside of the church that I may well end up calling my church again this morning. You know, I just think that I would like to think that the God who loves us so much is not very happy about people trying to spread his message, I guess, is what they... I mean, these mega Christians, that's what they believe in, spreading the message of God and converting people and changing people and this and that and the other thing. Well, I don't think the God that they're doing it all in the name of and to please and to bring people to wants it done through hate. It's just hard to balance the idea that God is that loving with the idea that the way to spread God's message is through hate. I'm no biblical scholar. I'm no holy this or that. I'm no student of the College of Divinity majors, but I just think something's wrong with that. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. If I create a separate vlog later today, I will. If I create something different at a later date, I will. But I just think that's a note to end this on. Just something to think about. Do you worship the God of hate or the God of love? If you call yourself a Christian, if you are a Christian, if you subscribe to any religion, is yours a God of hate or a God of love?